Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you on a band. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions. From Walnut deep to Iceland Dale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you on a band. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions.
And hello, everybody. It's back. The show you've all been waiting for, I'm sure. Gaarawarr's Guide 2. And this week, it's Founders Day, Year 4. There's an apostrophe in there. I'm Gaarawarr. This is my guide. Yeah, something like that. Welcome, everybody. It is, at least in the United States, a holiday weekend. In Canada, I would assume they were taking a long weekend, and they have a holiday too. But we're here. Jay's here. Jay's here in chat, pulling your questions on the CNE Games account. And we're going to walk everyone through what's going on in Founders Day and the new champion and the two older champions and their variants and all that jazz. For those of you who haven't been to one of these shows before, the first hour-ish is basically just me talking about the information you're going to need to know about Founders Day. And then the second hour is me answering questions from chat. But that doesn't mean you have to wait until the second hour to ask questions. You can ask them now, and Jay will pull them and throw them in a document right up there. And I'll get to them, after. So at the moment I'm just kind of cruising. I was doing some testing, which we'll get to, on some Sergeant Knox business. But let's talk about Founders Day. If the Founders Day started on Wednesday, and if you don't see this symbol up here on the right, like there's a bunch of stuff here. There's the seasonal sale that's going on all platforms. Go check that out. There's the Champions of Light weekend, but then there's this thing that doesn't have an X goes away. This is your event notification. If you don't see this in your game, restart your client and just basically let it patch. Like there's probably a patch or a trigger. Usually it's just restarting that needs to happen. There's an apostrophe right here, and it's bothering me that it's not there. Founders is possessive. But yeah, so we have 3 champions in Founders Day. The newest of which is Sergeant Knox. He's the cool guy with the armor and the axe that are all color coordinated. That's just fantastic. I like when people, dress up, make sure their outfits look good. And then over here, returning from last year, we have Freely, and the year before, Walnut. And what's missing, for some people who have, looked in the achievements and thought they were coming or whatever, is Deacon. Deacon was a year 1 Founders Day champion. Events only show the most recent 3, as you can see here. This provides you the most recent 3 champions. Anything beyond that, you've got to get out of a time gate. So keep in mind, Deacon, you have to get him from a time gate and do, at least one of his achievements in a time gate, the variance one. The rest can be done in other places, but we'll get into that. Your event tokens are tails. I looked it up. It's tails, so you pronounce it like that. These accrue at a fixed rate. You get 1 every 25 seconds. Nothing speeds it up. They don't go faster. They can go a little slower, but like if you're not killing anything, because you got to kill something to have one drop. If you're not killing anything, obviously they're not dropping. But once you do start killing things again, the game is supposed to try to catch you back up by dropping more of them until you get, it's kind of like backing up a sink. Eventually, you're going to clear that clog, and everything's going to come rushing out, right? Like that's what's supposed to happen. And the favor you collect this time around is Asmodeus's favor. Not great, but sure. We'll do some work for him. Yeah, so I already have more than enough. We're good there. Let's go look at where you find this. So you're always going to come out to the main campaign screen and to the campaign banner on the left. The newest event, or the current event, is always going to be at the bottom. Right down here. Founders Day. There needs to be an apostrophe there, too. I'm going to be all over this. Put in a trouble ticket for the missing the apostrophe. Yeah. It's gonna happen. There's only currently they only have one node open, and you're gonna click on it. There would normally be like little marks here, hashed, like little hashes, to let you know you've got adventures to do. But I kind of did them already. So when you come in here, it's gonna show Party Crashers, Walnut, Freely, and Sergeant Knox. It won't say free play because you haven't done it yet. And those initial adventures will be the unlock adventures for the champion. So it'll show the champion down here. And this kind of stuff. Each champion is going to have its own formation. It's kind of considered its own campaign. So Walnut has a 2-tank front line with some solid adjacencies. So this is a pretty decent formation for pushing. Freely, again, 2-tank formation. Okay adjacencies, but a lot more spread out. And then Knox, a single tank formation, but with lots of adjacencies. So still solid for pushing as long as you've got a single durable tank. All in all, I feel like all 3 of these are pretty good for pushing favor. I have a super durable frontline tank, so I would go here and just make everything else a buffer, but this one would also probably push really far for me. And I remember pushing decently far with Freely, so I don't think any of those should be too problematic, depending on what champions you have, of course. Now, once you've done these adventures, you're going to it'll pop open your variants. The variants are always these 3 adventures down underneath a base adventure. These are going to be much harder versions of the basic unlock adventure. Each one, all of these are showing as difficulty easy, but each one is going to have a different amount of favor you need to change the difficulty level to easy. Now, keep in mind, when we're talking difficulty levels in this game, it is very much a you need to be at least this tall to ride this ride type of situation. That doesn't mean that when you get on the ride, you're going to enjoy it. And it might mean that if you're shorter than that and you somehow sneak onto the ride, you might think it's fantastic. It's just a rough approximation. There's people have asked them to change this forever, but really there's no real way for them to calculate your true power between your champions, their gear, their feats, their item levels, blessings, perks, Modron core. They can't really take, like, that's whew. So it's just keyed to favor. So it's just kind of a measuring stick. Like, this is, I treat it as, and I recommend you treat it as, just a way to know when you should at first look to try to do it. So if it doesn't show as green, you probably shouldn't be trying to do it yet. probably shouldn't be trying to do it yet. And then once it does, you want to click on it, and down here, under restrictions, you want to read and understand this, because this is what's going to make this adventure harder. And in some cases, it just showing green isn't going to be enough for you to do it. In adventures, though, or in events, the rough favor amounts are about EO4 for the first variant, for everyone to show as easy. So that's, a couple thousand, 1,000 or more favor. It might be a couple thousand. It's going to trigger in the EO4 range. Close quarters combat's going to be like E7-ish, like the second one is in the E7-ish range, and like E9, E10 for the third one. I tend to just say get them all to show as green before doing any of them, which means going in and farming favor in free plays. Why not? Why not just get your favor out of the way? Because the thing with variants, the thing with all of this is they all cost tokens for you to activate. So when you go in to do a variant, you are paying a price. And if you don't complete it, like if you can't get to 75, the furthest you can get to is 45, and you're grinding for hours and you're just not getting anywhere, which you really shouldn't do, but you tried. You're just gonna have to leave, and you're gonna lose. You've already paid those event tokens; they're just gone, and then you've got to go back later and try it again with more favor, and you're not really gonna get a lot of favor, usually in variants. So you want to just try to farm your free plays, get them all to show to green, and then go from there. So let's take a look at some of these. This one isn't quite that bad. Rain of Fire. Not quite that bad. It's just a Rain of Fire. Yeah. A Rain of Fire falls from the sky, dealing damage to a random champion. The frequency of the fireballs increase as your area gets higher. So this is just random damage across your party. In my opinion, the best way to deal with this is just to have Calliope in your formation. Calliope shields people. If you hit her ultimate, she puts shields on everyone. But as when someone gets injured in your party, she then puts a shield on them afterwards, which is going to prevent any more damage. So those random, you take one fireball, usually not enough to kill you, but then another one comes down right afterwards and hits, because RNG hates you, hits the same person, and that might be a problem, right? So the shield's going to help with that. And then you just need some kind of healer in to keep your party topped off. There are a variety of those available. You can do it with Celeste. Her ultimate is the only thing that really heals everyone. But you could micromanage and move Celeste around in your formation and try to get through this. Ultimately, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You only have to get to level 75. You should be able to stay alive. But again, if you're having some troubles, make sure you've got Calliope and shielding. That should help quite a bit. Close quarters combat. These are all Walnut's free plays. Only champions that attack with a melee base attack can be used. So this is going to restrict what you can use. Any type of situation like this where you're restricted on potentially the amount of champions you can use because maybe you don't have a lot of melee options in your slots because you're newer. You want to figure out before attempting this, like when you're in a free play, figure out which champions you would be able to put in your formation to try to complete this. If you can build out a full formation and it's actually decent looking, like in the proper like tanks and a DPS and a bunch of support, and it looks like it'll work, great. But for every non-optimal champion, like a champion that's just in there but isn't contributing anything, or empty place, you're going to need more favor to complete it, because you have to make up for, by over-leveling your other champions, you have to make up for the loss of the buff you're getting by having another champion in there. And generally, I would say, I think I'm leaning nowadays more towards like EO2 favor per lost champion, effectively, or suboptimal champion. So if you're down 2 of them, and this normally goes green at EO7, let's say, and you have 2 suboptimal champions or 2 missing champions, you're going to need like E11 before you want to try, which means the third one needs to be green and then some. or you might not do it. And one way you can test is just to go run it in a free play. Put those champions in, build that formation, see if you can get to 125. If you can, you're golden. Go run it. You already proved you can do it, because there's no other restrictions on close quarters combat other than just melee. So you would push in a free play up to 125. Hey, I did it. Then you'd switch over to a regular formation in that free play and push that formation for favor. Don't waste your favor runs. Use your favor run after you've proved you can do it. And then go and do close quarters combat, right? Hell's Nuts. This I remember being the fun one. Walnut starts out in the formation and cannot be moved, removed, or swapped out. So this is the time to learn to use Walnut variant. All enemies gain additional health and damage in each area. Demonic squirrel enemy. So, squirrels. Spawn at random. When killed, they drop a Hell Nut, which increases the effect of documents by 1%, stacking additively. So this one was fun because this is one of those rare variants where you're actually gaining power as you do this. I'm not going to say that you could push real far, but by giving you that little Documenter bonus as you go along, it helps to negate the whole all enemies gain additional health and damage in each area. It doesn't necessarily fully keep up with it. But this is one of those rare buff variants where you're actually getting buffed in power. The problem is they're countering it with health and damage, right? So I don't think this one, I think once it shows green, you're probably fine. But again, I would get all of these to show green. This, depending on how many you're missing is the one that's gonna require you to push for more favor. But this one should be fairly straightforward. Let's look at Freely. This is a more restrictive one. Only champions with int 12 or lower can be used. If you've got Patron Strahd unlocked and you've got +1 int feats in some champions to get them qualified for Strahd, go take them out, because you want to use them here, and they need to be dumb. They can't be too smart, right? So this could be somewhat restrictive. On some of these restrictive ones, I have lists in my guide on the subreddit. Let me put a link in chat. There we go. If you look for on that page on the subreddit, if you look for scroll down to the Sergeant Knox, click on Sergeant Knox. It's going to have a list of all the champions are there. So you can click on Freely's name, and you'll be able to go to his guide. You can click on Walnut's name, that'll go to her guide for this event. And you can click on Sergeant Knox, have them all up. There's lists that should be updated for all the champions so that you can see what in each slot is available to you and look before going in. And once again, hop in a free play, throw them in, see how far you can get, right? This isn't going to be super horrible because it's to 75. So again, if you just make sure everything shows as green, you should be able to come back and do this. Just depends on how many you're missing. As always. Invasion Nation. Whenever a demon or fiend spawns, normally 2 additional copies of that creature spawn. Ugh. These additional creatures move twice as fast as normal, but don't drop gold or quest credit progress. Credit quest progress. Said that backwards. This is basically, they're just trying to overwhelm you. I don't find this one too challenging as long as you're using multi-attack champions. You've got a couple of them. Starting off, you've got Hitch and you've got Ashara. You should have Hitch. If you don't have Hitch, go sign up for the newsletter in game. Click on the menu, then click on newsletter, then punch your stuff in. You'll get an email, and you'll have Hitch. So you have some multi-attack champions, some solid multi-attack champions, and that's kind of what you're going to want to use here. Alternately, you could use like an AoE champion like Minsk, but I kind of prefer the multi-attack because it's going to hit them wherever they are on screen, even if they're spread out. Whereas, Minsk wants them all grouped up. So otherwise, this isn't. I don't see this one as too horrible. Should be fine. Just once it shows green, you should be able to cruise right through it. Live free. Freely starts out in the formation with Luck of Yondala unlocked and cannot be moved or removed. So again, this is how you know it's a time to learn freely situation. Luck of Yondala, we're going to go over this, is kind of the thing you want to build around with freely. So that's why they start it right away. Champions placed adjacent to freely automatically get Luck of Yondala. So round them up. This is a great situation for freely, because normally you have to choose a specialization that makes it so that, and then the only people that get Luck of Yondala are the people that are in that certain alignment category. But now you can potentially build out an entire formation that has it, because people that are adjacent to him get it automatically. And then only enemies who are affected by at least one lucky break can be damaged. And this is what applies with Luck of Yondala. Again, we'll go over all of this. So this is basically enemies are immune until someone attacks them that's adjacent to freely or qualifies for his thing. But this is kind of how, things work at higher levels. When you're using freely, and we'll go over this more, but he can apply debuffs, and at a certain point, only the things that are debuffed are going to die. So this is basically just learning how to use freely. I don't think this is super problematic, as long as it shows it's green. If I'm repetitive, it's because I want everybody to understand that if you try this before green, you're just creating a headache for yourself, potentially. If you have lots of power in your party, that's fine. You could do it before green. But if you have lots of power in your party, your first push probably lit all these up as green. Let's just be real here. For Sergeant Knox, so for the newest ones, and these are going to be the most important ones to make sure you're reading and understanding, because the cost of the previous variants are cheaper than the current one. All of these are 25% of the cost of the current. So you'll see 250, 625, 1250. Those are decent prices, right? But this is 1,000, 2,500, and 5,000. So you really want to make sure you understand what's going on with the variants for Sergeant Knox before attempting them, and maybe try them out in a free play, right? So, Neverwinter Defenders. The damage of all champions is increased by 50% if Celeste is in the formation. Hey, she's a core champion, so she can be in your formation. An additional 50% of Makos is in the formation. Hey, guess what? He's a core champion too. So you can use both of these, and you can get both of these bonuses. Enemy damage and speed is increased by 100%. So this is going to help offset a bit of this, right? And then, he's like, oh, they give you a little tip. Getting to know Sergeant Knox. Knox works best with his fellow Neverwinter allies, Celeste and Makos, in the formation. Place them directly behind Knox to maximize their benefit. We'll go over this. I don't know that that's entirely accurate. Makos, yes. I don't think Celeste needs to be directly behind, but we'll talk about it. You could do it. The nice thing about Knox, and we'll get into this, is that he buffs everything behind him. So you can put people right behind him, and then, it works okay. So this one's pretty straightforward. Again, I don't think this is super difficult, because you have all the champions that they're talking about here. You have Knox, you have Makos, and you have Celeste. And then everything else is just building a formation in the rest of the space here. I believe in you. I think you can do it. I don't think this is problematic. Again, once it shows the green. After party, a pair of bearded devils join the formation. They're just here for the souvenirs. Quest goals are doubled. This is just... Not only do they take 2 champion slots away from you, and right here too, and they leave things just kind of empty in the back, like you got 2 people hanging and way out in the back. But then they double all your requirements for zones. So this one's going to be a little challenging. Again, you're losing 2 spots automatically. So, my rule of thumb, you're going to want EO 4 more favor to get this. So once again, this is normal. This would normally be green at like EO 7. So you're probably not going to want to do it until you're like at E11. You can try it. Again, this is easy to try, except for the quest goals, right? But it's easy to try by just leaving these 2 spots blank when you do a free play. See if you can do it with the rest of this formation. In a normal, if you're a newer player, you could put you can run Knox up here if you want, but you could run Niali. Either way, But hanging out all the way in the back, putting Tyrrell back here in one of these, and Moonbeam is going to be great because he's only got one adjacent person, so he's going to buff like crazy. If you're not using Knox, if you're using Nayeli, you could put Makos back here as the other one, and that means everybody up here is going to get buffed. So there's ways to do this, and make it so that this isn't a bad thing. It's just the real negative factor here is losing 2 champions. Because 2 champions worth of buffs are a big deal. And then you've just got to kill a lot more. You got to kill a lot more. So you've got to be longer on each level. It's not that they're coming out and swarming you. It's just that, you know, if you're normally building up things and you're just barely killing 25 before your tank dies, then that's going to be problematic. So again, try to get more favor. You know, EO2 per missing slot. So another EO4 favor up to E11-ish roughly. And then to go test it out. Go test it out. See what happens. Blast from the Past, the final one. So this is the most expensive one. Only champions with intelligence of 12 or higher can be used. So again, this is going to limit you, and I've got that list on the subreddit in the guide. Sergeant Knox starts in the formation, and he cannot be moved or removed. So that's totally fine. He's totally a viable tank, and we'll get into this. So this is just building and running with Tank Sergeant Knox. The switch they throw up at you here is that in each area, zombies aligned with Valendra attack. So the normal, like if you're throwing Minskin, and normally in this one, humanoids are the ones you're running into the most, that are one of his favorite enemies. Now you would want, in this one, you would want to use Minskin Undead if you're going to bring Minskin, because there's Undead in all the levels, basically. They do not drop gold, nor do they count towards quest progress, but you still need to kill him. And then Valendra's Shadow Mantle just decides, you know what, Zariel? Get out of here. Hold my beer. I'm going to show you how to do this. Because Zariel is normally the boss in Area 50 on this adventure, and they just straight up replaced it with Valendra. You know, she heard Knox was in town. She's not too happy with him. So you're going to have to deal with Valendra. If you've done Asoriel's Resolve, you know Valendra is all about AoEs to your entire party. So Knox is probably not the only tank you're going to want in your formation, just to keep you alive. When you're doing this, when you're pushing super far in this one, you might need a second tank somewhere. Again, tanks, go check out Gaarawarr's Guide to Tanking. Tanks don't have to be in the front line. You put another tank in with health share, that's going to help keep your party alive in that kind of situation. Also, health potions. People don't use potions of heroism that much, but this is a situation for that. And then a Calliope. Again, whenever you have AoEs, especially against Valendra, I love Calliope. You can put Calliope like right here. So this third row top, and technically third row bottom. Somewhere in this third row, she'll be able to shield the entire party as stuff rains down. So you just need a healer after that. So overall, the biggest limitation here is going to be champions with int of 12. Champions with int of 12. So figure out in a free play who you've got that can qualify, and see if you can push to 175 in a free play. So basically what you would do is you would come in one free play, you would push to 125 missing this, and then you would swap your party. If you complete 125, you would swap your party for int 12 plus, and then see if you can push to 175. So that lets you test out 2 variants in one free play, and then you'll know if you can do it or not. There you go. Those are my tips for all the variants. Let's go talk about the champions. We're going to start with Sergeant Knox first, because as you noticed, he was in the party already. And I did this because he has an interesting feature that people were talking about, and they're like, well, when is it good, and when is it, like, when do you want to pick which specialization? So I did some playing around with him. So let's go talk Sergeant Knox. He is a neutral good human fighter from Neverwinter, along with Makos and Celeste. So they don't have an affiliation, but technically they're all from Neverwinter, and that's why they work. He has a little bonus when working with them. He is a tanking support champion with 25 Overwhelm, which is a solid Overwhelm number, folks. It's a pretty solid Overwhelm number. Battle Axe is his base attack, so that's a melee. He does all it's amazing. This guy with this big axe does melee, but, you know, I say that, and then there's Dinar, right? So Sergeant Knox swings his enormous battle axe through the nearest group of enemies. So he has an AoE. He's got an AoE cleave. And that's fantastic. Break the Line is his ultimate. He performs 2 attacks, knocking back, stunning, and damaging enemies. We want to go read that down here, though, because you always get more information on the toolbar. So, Sergeant Knox swings his axe in an arc, knocking nearby enemies back, damaging and stunning them for 2 seconds. So you get a 2-second stun just right there from whatever he hit. He then leaps at a random enemy and swings his axe in an overhead blow, dealing even more damage and stunning enemies in the area for 5 seconds. So his ultimate has a double stun. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. All right. For abilities, Sergeant Knox is built entirely around Rallying Cry. Increase the damage of champions in the columns behind Sergeant Knox by 100% for each positional formation ability affecting them, stacking additively and including this one. So Sergeant Knox works really well with champions that have positional formation abilities. What's a positional formation ability? Well, it's an ability like this one where it says something in it about it buffing in relation to where someone is in a formation or exactly what's in a formation. So in this case, when you read through and it says increase the damage of champions in the columns behind, that lets you know that this is positional. This is a positional buff. So it doesn't buff in the column he's in. It doesn't buff in the column ahead of him. So it's not an all champs damage buff. It is a positional formation ability. I'll go through this entire party that I have here has positional formation abilities. So let's go look. Brunor has Rally, increases the damage of champions in the same column. That's positional formation. Celeste, Crusader's Mantle, increases the damage of champions next to Celeste. Positional formation ability. Spurt, increases the damage of adjacent champions. You can kind of see where this is going, right? Now here we see Bardic Inspiration, increases the damage of champions in the column in front of Calliope, right? But also like Song of Protection. This is a different type of thing that is positional as well. We already talked about Knox. Caddy Bree. Where is it? Death March, increases the damage of Caddy Bree and champions ahead of Caddy Bree, etc. That's positional, because it only does it to the people ahead. I think people are understanding here. Makos, champions not adjacent. That's positional. This is positional. Zorbu actually has his own positional buff. And he gets it himself. So increases the damage of champions adjacent to Zorbu, also affects himself. So he affects himself with his own positional formation ability. So everything here is built out to utilize positional formation abilities. And Knox multiplies that. Gets you a bonus for more damage based off how many of those are going on. And I'll show you how this shows up on, say, Zorbu. So if we come over here and we look at Rallying Cry, it shows here, increases the damage of Zorbu by 100% for every positional formation ability. It shows you how many there are, tells you the post-stack bonus, and then the multiplier based off all your upgrades and everything on Knox, and then tells you the total bonus. So we're getting an EO9 buff right now. And I'll mention this is the base version of Sergeant Knox's Rallying Cry. This is not the specialization version, so I will get to that in a minute, but you can affect what this ends up being with his specialization. So this is the basic version. This is how you tell how much of a bonus you're getting and how many abilities are being applied. This is a 9-champion formation. I've got 10 positional formation abilities, so you don't necessarily want to build completely around this, but if your best support champions all have positional formation abilities, then Knox is going to work good for you, right? Knox is going to work good for you. All right, so let's go back and talk some more about his other abilities. Blessed by Selune. So if affected by Celeste's Mass Cure Wounds, Sergeant Knox takes 25% less damage from all attacks, excluding attacks that instantly kill him. So this is a nice damage reduction. So the Mass Cure Wounds is basically, is he being healed by Celeste from her ability every second? Right now I've got her in War Domain, so you can see he's getting his heals. He's getting his heals every second, so he would have that damage reduction active. There are no upgrades for this. Sergeant Knox in his upgrade path only upgrades Rallying Cry. He only upgrades Rallying Cry. So when I say everything's built around Rallying Cry, I mean it. Everything else is just, it's a nice little additional nod to something. Like this is, yeah, okay, 25% less damage if you're using Celeste, great. That doesn't mean you have to use Celeste, but this is a bonus that you get if you do. Hero of Neverwinter, this is the health share that tanks usually get. So this is increase the health of all champions by 25%. That's great. And oh, that's the specialization. We'll come back to that. Oh no, it isn't. This is Allies of Convenience. This is Makos' buff. So if adjacent to Makos, which we have him in the formation, that's why Makos is up here in the front. If adjacent to Makos, the effects of Rallying Cry and Makos' Dark Blessing abilities are increased by 200%. So again, there's no upgrades to this. That's just, we're tripling the effect if Makos is in the party. So that's a nice bonus. Again, you're getting more out of Makos and more out of Sergeant Knox by having them in the party together. Altruistic Rallies and Specializations. Let me just make sure. Yeah, there's nothing else here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a Potion of Specialization, and we will get to look at all of his specializations again. So I had him set on Altruistic Rally. That's the middle one. This increases the effect of Celeste's Crusader's Mantle and Makos' Dark Blessing by 100% each, so doubling the effects of both of those. So that's going to get you, a nice little bonus if you're using those champions. That's super nice. Depending, and this is where we were trying. I was doing some math and checking the results. Which one of these you use between Explosive Rally and Altruistic Rally depends on, are you using both Celeste and Makos, and how many positional formation abilities are hitting your DPS, right? Because remember, it's hitting the DPS, not Sergeant Knox. So Explosive Rally, as we know, Rallying Cry initially starts off as doing additive bonuses. Additive are the somewhat balanced bonuses in the game. Multiplicative are usually where things can get super strong. But Rallying Cry now stacks multiplicatively. It's like I was walking into that. With buffs applying to the post-stack value, but its base percentage is decreased to 35%. So they reduce Rallying Cry, if we go look. It is 100%. So they're cutting it, down to roughly a third of what it is before, but they're giving you the multiplier instead of the additive, right? So when is it worth getting this versus this, right? Like if you're going to be using Celeste and Makos no matter what, how many positional formation abilities do you need to get here? So if we go back and we look, I'm gonna. Why does it make me do all these again? If we go back and we look, where we want to look is we want to look on Zorbu. We're going to look because he's our DPS. He's got everything coming in. So we're getting a 113 EO9% buff from Rallying Cry right now. Now, if I switch over, and all I'm changing is taking him to Explosive Rally, and we're going to get our multiplicative effect instead. So now we go Knox by 35% each, but stacking multiplicatively, right? I don't know why I closed that. If we go look now, we're at 216 EO9. So we've doubled, with the same formation, we've doubled the buff. We've doubled the buff by switching over to multiplicative. And what we find out is if we remove a couple of these champions, and we take him down to 8, it's roughly the same at 8 in this specific situation when I'm using both Makos and Celeste. So you want more than 8 positional formation abilities affecting your DPS to go Explosive Rally. Otherwise, if you're using, and this is if you're using both Makos and Celeste, so otherwise you can just run the other spec and you're going to get the same amount of damage. So if you have fewer than 8, you're going to want to run his middle spec, and if you have more than 8, you're going to want to run Explosive Rally. Oh, I'm trying to drag the wrong person in. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's go look at his last spec. Now that's just trying to figure out if you're trying to get the most damage out of Sergeant Knox. That's what you're talking about. Now, keep in mind that does require using both of these, and that is increasing the buffs coming off other champions, off of Celeste and Mako's. So, you have to factor that into it. It's going to double their buffs. It's going to double Crusader's Mantle. It's going to double Dark Blessing. So you're probably shooting for at least 9 to break even, right? So it's basically you're looking for a very large number of positional formation abilities. But luckily, they give you a nice... they don't always do this, but they give you a nice way to see it in that formation buff tab. So you can see exactly how many are there. You don't have to go count them yourself. Now, the last specialization is Shield Wall. This focuses on his health. This raises his health by 50%. So basically, the left two are, I want lots of damage. I want to maximize my damage. But if you know you've got tons of damage, and what your issue is survivability, then you go Shield Wall. So it is nice that they give you 2 different options for like trying to make him super DPS-y. But then they also give you a nice solid defensive option by increasing his health. Shield Wall, honestly, could come in handy if you needed to against Valendra. If you were using Sergeant Knox against Valendra, and you weren't using some of the... I mean, there are other champions in his slot that might be better against Valendra, but in some patron variants, you may not have access to them. Giving yourself a lot more health against Valendra is a big deal. So Shield Wall could come in very handy there. Very handy there. I'm going to just throw that down. Because, hey, why not? But he is in a very competitive slot. This is, I've talked about this before. This is, I think, the best slot in the game, slot 6. It is the most competitive slot. It has lots of fantastic champions in them. I don't know that it has... Some people would argue that some of these are bad champions. I think they're all great champions. They're all in the same slot. And that makes you really have to... It's really situational based off what you're doing and who's available to you. But there's lots of good options at any point in this slot. And I think Knox fits into that as a second tank. Different from Evelyn. Evelyn wants you hitting her with certain positional formation and wants abilities and wants other things going on to really maximize her buff. Whereas Knox is just all about that positional formation abilities that are on your DPS. And otherwise it's always on. Yeah. Are we getting to the point where we're getting close to where I can show off his ultimate? I want to get a bunch of things on screen to do that. Let's talk about some of the other champions that we have in this event. Let's go back to Freely. I've got him here in his pirate outfit because, I mean, why wouldn't you want pirate Freely? I mean, he looks fine before, but pirate Freely, come on. Freely is from the Heroes of the Plains, the show. If you haven't watched it, it's great. It's over on twitch.tv/demiplanerpg. Now, this is just the current show. There have been lots of shows that Freely is on. Heroes of the Plains started a very long time ago with a show called Heroes of the Vale, and they've picked up characters and lost characters, and now they're in their current incarnation. But yeah, Heroes of the Plains. That's the affiliation you get. That's going to be Alindra, Averin, Briv, Freely, or Kira Penelope, and we're still waiting on potentially one. We're assuming it's going to be Whittle. That's the other current champion that's part of the Heroes. Freely is a neutral good Bard Warlock. He's a lot more than a Bard Warlock. I'm just going to throw that. He's like a Bard Warlock Paladin something else. But in this game, they give him 2 tags. So he gets Bard and Warlock. He's support and gold fine. His base attacks are Eldritch Blast. This is a magical base attack, so he does interact well with Ulquoria. A beam of aquamarine crackling energy streaks towards a random enemy. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let's go back. Before I get too much into Freely, I forgot. Knox's items and feats. He's really straightforward. He's got damage all champs items. He has a health item. He has 1 buffing item, because again, that's his sole ability that they care about is Rallying Cry. Everything's based on that. And then he gets ultimate attack damage and cooldown. And his feats are what you would expect out of a support tank. So we get damage all champs, we get health. The one thing that we're missing here is any kind of an overwhelm feat. So he starts off at a high overwhelm. That's because he doesn't get any bonuses for feats. He does have a Rallying Cry, 2 different Rallying Cry boosts. But he also has an intelligence score +1. This lets him qualify for Strahd, and that means he can qualify for all the current patrons. All the current patrons. So over to Freely. Let's talk about Freely. Freely has a couple different nice effects. This first one, Adventurous Tale, comes in right at level 10 because it's important for you to have that leveled up as soon as possible. For each area completed with Freely in the formation, you gain a bonus to the divine favor you earn when you complete your adventure. So, he is a support gold champion, and we'll get to it. He does have gold find stuff, but he also straight up boosts your favor. And you can see that over here, since we have him in now. So this is what we're earning base, and this is the bonus he's going to give. As you can see, it's ticking up as we go along and earn more gold. And there's going to be ways to affect this, and we're going to go into this, but this is a super nice bonus that's going to get you more favor. Right now it looks real small, but I just put him in. So it's not very big yet, but it's going to get bigger as we go along, right? And the more and more adventures the more levels that we beat with him in, the bigger it's going to get. Luck of Yandala. This kills me. CNE. Grants the Luck of Yandala to this champion. That doesn't tell me anything. CNE. That doesn't tell me anything. We're going to have to find out what this means in formation buffs in a minute. Well, we'll do that right now. So it's unfortunate. It should explain right here, and it doesn't. And I don't know why. So boom, if I come over here to to formation buffs, we can see Adventurous Tale, and it's telling you the number of areas you completed and the bonus. Luck of Yandala. Here's the information that should be over on that other tab, but isn't. Grants the Yuck of Londala. No. Don't yuck my yum. The Luck of Yandala to this champion. Each champion that attacks with the Luck of Yandala applies a random lucky break to enemies they hit for 15 seconds. So there's different lucky breaks that this applies. Lucky breaks are stacks, like debuffs that are going to apply to enemies, and you'll see there are visual indicators on an enemy to show that it has applied a lucky break. One is like a shield, one's a cornucopia, one's the fruit coming out of a cornucopia. Unfortunately, there aren't, and there's something, and it's a cornucopia fruit border around it, and then a shield. Unfortunately, what it doesn't have is little numbers. Like with Krull, for those of you who have Krull, you get 3 little potions that come out, and then they show numbers that show you how many stacks are there. Fraley doesn't show you how many stacks he has. He just shows you if it's applying or not. And that's unfortunate because he can apply multiple stacks, and they stack in different ways. So a couple stack multiplicatively, one stacks additively. Great. It would be great to know, but we don't know, and we have no way of knowing how many are there. So ultimately, we'll go through this, but ultimately you want to apply as many lucky breaks as possible. So Opportunity, the lucky break Opportunity, the target takes 100% more damage per application, stacks multiplicatively. And then you can increase this by additional amounts for upgrades and gear and whatever. So the Opportunity one is a debuff applied to targets. So this is a nice debuff alongside like Krull or like Ayla or Warden, all these champions, Grama, that basically debuff a target and make them take more damage when they're hit. That's what we're looking at here, and that's why this is nice to have, and the fact that it's multiplicative makes it even better. You want multiplicative stacking, so that's what we get with Opportunity. Requisition is the target drops more gold per application, stacks multiplicatively. So again, like Krull. So the first one is like Krull's Plague Pain. The second is like Krull's Plague Pilfer. So this just means when you kill the target, it's going to drop more gold based off the number of stacks. This is how he gets this gold tag right here. Follow through. Any champion who attacks the target will have their next base attack cooldown reduced by 0.1 second per application. So basically, this is a stacking thing on the target that then speeds up everybody's attacks. Well, guess what? We're going to get to this, but the more people attacking that have the Luck of Yandala, because it can go to more than just Freely. Right now, Freely only has it. But the more people we get having that, the more stacks we get, and then the faster they all start attacking, which is fantastic. Stagger is the shield. The target has 2% per application chance of being stunned when they are attacked by any champion. So this is a nice survivability feature. If you can stun the target, it's not going to be attacking you. It's more noticeable on bosses if the boss can even be stunned. So they'll stop attacking a little bit. But really, the bigger things that you want here are opportunity and requisition. Everything else is like a nice bonus if you can get it to go off. But we're going to focus on opportunity, and we're going to focus on opportunity and requisition. All right, so unlucky for them. Increases the effect of Freely's Luck of Yondala opportunity lucky break, and this is why it said it was increased over there. So this is just another way to focus in on opportunity, and that is, again, that is our debuff. That is our debuff. Requisition is our gold find. Opportunity is our debuff. That brings us to his specialization. So right now, before you get to his specialization, Freely is the only one that's applying those lucky breaks. Specialization allows you to share his Luck of Yondala with other party members based off their alignment on the lawful, neutral, chaotic axis. So this one, Trust and Law, lawful champions, neutral champions, chaos champions. We have a lot of chaotic champions. I'm going to pick chaotic. I generally pick chaotic, but what you want to do is look to see who has, like, you're going to basically count basic attacks in your party, because basic attacks are what's going to apply Luck of Yondala. You're not going to count Freely, because Freely gets it anyway. Freely's neutral, but it doesn't matter. You can still go Law and everyone plus Freely. It's always going to be everyone plus Freely, regardless of what you choose here. I'm just going to go Chaos, because I always go Chaos. I don't always go Chaos, but it tends to, we have a lot of chaotic champions in this game, so when in doubt, if you're not going to math it out, it's probably chaos. All right, I see somebody going, I'm willing to bet there are no neutral champions. You'd be wrong. There are neutral. There are what are called neutral. At one point it said true neutral, but it's just neutral. There are neutral champions in this game. There's just not many. Okay. So we did Adventurous Tale, Luck of Yondala. I chose, they have Unlucky for them. I chose the Specialization, so we're doing this with Chaotic Champions. Freely also has Cutting Words. This increases the Overwhelm point by 5 of tanking champions that are under attack and within 3 slots of Freely. So technically, this is how this is the only ability that you really. Did I? Yeah, I did it. This is the only ability that you're really going to be paying attention to in terms of placement. You are going to want to place him within 2 or within 3 adjacencies. So it's going to need to be like here on this. It won't do it from here. If we were trying to do this, it would be up here. To make sure that when Sergeant Knox comes under attack, his overwhelm would go from 25 to 30. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. And a lot of times I don't necessarily build around it because I'm not super worried about overwhelms, but it can matter. It can matter, so keep it in mind. Where it really comes into effect, almost in a broken way, is with people like Archon and Artemis, because they can observe this effect. Archon can usurp it and or bulk up, but if you usurp it, I've had Archon over 100 overwhelm, which basically means he never takes bonus damage, no matter how many enemies are beating on him, which is a little wild, but yeah, so keep that in mind for Cutting Words. And that's it. So as you can tell, everything's based around Luck of Yondala, and getting all of his stacks out that you can, right? And you can kind of tell that by his items. So he gets an all champs damage. He gets Luck of Yondala requisition. So this is the item you want to boost to get lots more gold find. He has this is Freely's Unlucky for them. So this is also going to boost opportunity. So this is the debuff for increased damage. And this is Adventurous Tale. So this is another way you can buff all the favor bonus that you're going to get. Then he gets ultimate attack and ultimate cooldown. Speaking of his ultimate, I Will Not Deafen. Freely grabs his sword and smashes into his opponent for massive damage. He doesn't wait around. He just likes to hit things. He also applies or refreshes all 4 lucky breaks on that enemy if it is unlucky enough to survive. So This basically is a way to, when you hit his enemy, it's going to do a lot of damage, but also it makes sure that there is one stack, at least one stack if there wasn't already, of all 4 lucky breaks, and it's going to refresh any that were there. So that's a nice bonus, and his feats are what you would expect for support gold. So we see all champs damage, we see a lot of gold stuff. This is an ability bonus, but it's for requisition, so it shows the gold thing. So you can take it by 40% and 25% if you just want all the gold. We've got unlucky for them bonuses. This is usually what I'm running, as you can see right here, unlucky for them and requisition lucky break. But then he has adventurous tale feats. So remember, adventurous tale boosts the bonus you get when you reset freely in the adventure. We need to talk about this a little more. You have to have freely in. You want freely in if you're going for adventurous tale bonuses. You want him in as early as possible and up and to level 10 as early as possible. So he starts counting the number of levels that you've completed. Now you push as far as you can with him in. And then that determines his bonus. Now, he doesn't have to be in when you finish. You can take him out and push further with various other methods if you need to. But once you pull him out, normally you want these combat bonuses in when you're pushing with him. Once you pull him out, though, if you're not going to put him back in, then swap in his whatever adventurous tale feats you have. Because freely does not have to be in the party to get the bonus. So right now you see up here, he's got an E31 bonus now, and I'm going to pull him out. It's still there. It's just not going to get bigger in terms of the levels the completed levels. It's going to get bigger based off the gold you've earned, but it's not going to get bigger based off the completed levels. So when you go to reset with freely, and you're using freely, and you're doing a favor run, you want to put in whatever adventurous tale feats you have. So I have a 40%, and then there was an 80% that came as a cash option. Or I think it was probably with this. One of these came with this, or you can get it with like 50,000 gems. So you're gonna want to slot these in and then reset, because that's going to give you more favor. And obviously, if you have both of these, it's going to be a lot more favor, right? So keep that in mind. And then when you go to run him in the next adventure, make sure you put the combat ones back in, because you kind of want those to be there. All right, let's talk Walnut. Give me that nut. All right. Walnut is in. I've currently got her in her stay-at-home Walnut skin. This was a charity skin. She's also got a clone Walnut skin and a Grove Keeper Walnut. Clone Walnut, I really still think they should have called it Walnut, but I don't think anybody would have understood. But yeah, she had a clone running around for a while. This is the original skin. Walnut is from the C team. She is joined in the game by Dinar, Cathris, and Rosie. So Walnut is a Wood Elf Druid, lawful neutral, tanking support champion. Yeah, let's level Walnut up. She has two specialization choices, two separate specialization choices. So we'll go over this and then we'll get into that. Wicked Scimitar. It is a pretty wicked scimitar. Walnut savagely attacks the nearest enemy with her scimitar. The neat thing about Walnuts in the lore, scimitar, is it grows on trees. In her enclave Panax Anima, the weapons grow on trees. So it's pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat. All right, Documancer. Everything is built around Documancer for Walnut. So again, like with Rallying Cry and Luck of Yandala, some champions are built around one ability and everything else affects that ability, and that's the case here. So Documancer increases the damage of adjacent champions by 5% for each enemy killed in this area. Resets when changing areas. So this is an interesting buff. You either like it or you hate it. I'm just going to straight up say it's not great for pushing super deep, because as you know, when you go into a new level and you've gotten really far, it's hard to kill things. And yet her buff is based off killing things, and it resets when you change his areas. So you're going in kind of fresh each area to a certain degree. So people don't always like this. But the thing is you can ramp it up super high, or else super high. You can ramp it up, and that, as we know, sets your bud. And then you can hop into the next level and alt and kill off a bunch of stuff. And that ramps and that gets her a buff again, right? And you can do that and move slowly forward if you need to. A lot of times I'm using Walnut in variants where I can't use somebody else, where I know I just have to get to a certain level and I know I've got the power, but I just need a tank, and I'm gonna throw her in, right? She can't. However, if you'll notice, this isn't a tanking buff. She doesn't have to be in the front line to give the Documancer buff. It's just adjacent to the DPS and enemies killed in the area. We'll get to her tanking bonus here in a moment, though. Job's done. This adds a bonus to Documancer for 30 seconds when completing a quest or entering a completed area. Killing enemies in completed areas resets the duration to 30 seconds. So this is a nice, when you switch levels and then you've completed, if you complete it right away, and then you switch levels and you alt and you kill some things, and then this is a nice bonus to help you continue killing from area to area to area. Wolfnut is Walnut's tanking form. So Wolfnut will wild shape into a wolf when they come under attack. They gain temp HP for every enemy that's on the screen at the time of the transformation. So this it's not going to be a huge temporary shield if you're fighting ranged enemies. But there are ways technically to get her huge shields, if it's melee stuff, with pushbacks and things, and then she comes under attack again, and then etc. So that's when she switches into tank mode, and it's important to know if she's in Walnut mode or Wolfnut mode for another buff here in a moment. Contractual Obligations. This increases the health of all champions, so this is the health share, but it's only 12.5%. Now, usually on tanks we see 25%. Well, that's because in this form, she's not a tank. But she's still sharing health, so that's nice to know. So 12.5% when she's not under attack. The effect gets doubled when she's in wolf form, so when she does go into tanky mode, then it goes to the full amount. Pin Pause is the buff to Documancer while in her tank form, so this increases the effect of Documancer by 100% for every 2 seconds that Walnut is in wolf form. The buff decreases every 4 seconds while she's not in wolf form. So this is how, when you start getting to those later areas and you're tanking and you're not killing anything, this is the ramp up buff to Documancer, and it feeds into Documancer, right? Now we get to specialization choices. So her specializations help you kind of focus on where the buff is going, and give you a modifier. So in this case, you have extended warranty, sign a date, or screw it. Documancer now also applies to all champions within 2 slots of Walnut. Remember, it starts off adjacent. So this gives you some more freedom of placement, and it's buffed by 100%. This is the ideal spec. This is one of those situations. Walnut is one of those champions that has an ideal specialization. It's extended warranty. You want Walnut either adjacent or within 2, and you want to do this. Sign and date only gives you a 50% bonus, and it applies to champions in the top or bottom slots of each column. So only in the top row or only in the bottom row. But this is like, if you can't put her for some reason within two, but they're on the top or bottom, then you would go this, but it's a lower bonus. Then screw it, it just applies to everyone, but there's no buff. So ideally you want extended warranty. Now the second specialization, Cosigners versus Temporary Alliance. This one's a little more straightforward. Cosigners is if you're running a full C-team formation. It's basically each target of Documancer's buff plus 100% for each of these buffs also affecting the target, and it's basically Cathris's, Dinar's, and Rosie's. So it requires all 3 of those. You want all 3 of them, and you need to make sure that your DPS is getting all of their positional formation abilities. Now, if you're not using them, you go Temporary Alliance. So this basically increases the effect of Documancer by 25% for each champion in the formation with an affiliation other than the C team. So when we look at champions and we see this affiliation, not only is it telling you who's in it, but if there is an affiliation here, like there isn't for Jarlaxle, but there is for Calliope, If there is an affiliation here, there's no bonus from Walnut. This is the only real current interaction we have for affiliations. But if there is one there, then they get a buff when you're using Walnut and your party with them. We level her all the way up. There we go. All right. So that's it. There's extended warranty. That's that specialization. Forest Friends is the ultimate. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then Temporary Alliance. That's the other specialization. And then there's nothing after that. So items for Walnut. Damage all champions. We get Documancer, obviously. We get jobs done. So this helps you, in those level transitions. And then we get Wolfnut. This increases Wolfnut's ability. So you'll notice there isn't necessarily a health buff here. What we're getting is temp HP on that transition. So she doesn't have a health item. That's going to make her not quite as durable as some tanks, but they're trying to make up for it with this self-shield mechanic, right? Then she gets ultimate damage and ultimate cooldown. The ultimate, as we said, is Forest Friends. I'm going to demonstrate that here in a minute. We're getting to the point where we can pull some things out and show off all the ultimates. She gets her damage all champions. She gets the extra health in Feats. She actually does have Overwhelm. She starts at 20, but she can top it up to 25. But that's it. It's got nothing else here. Nothing else here. She doesn't even have Documancer Feats, folks. I don't know. This is one of those situations where I'm like, they kind of missed out on Feats. They could have given some more Feats here, and they just didn't. They didn't. All right. Forest Friends. There you are. Walnut summons a swarm of lovable Forest Friends to attack all enemies. All enemies. This is a screen-wide effect. It's fantastic. Each enemy killed heals the party by 10% of their max health. So, not only are we doing lots of damage to everything on screen, and it's kind of a damage over... It's kind of a dot, too. Like, it hits multiple times. There's also survivability features in this. So you get a 10% heal for each enemy killed. So if you can kill 10 enemies, you've healed your party in full. If you don't kill any enemies, the formation gains temporary hit points equal to 100% of their max health. So just instant 100% of your health shield if nothing dies. So while Walnut's ultimate is useful for damage, it has a survivability component, so you don't just want to come into a boss level and fire off all your ultimates, including Walnuts, to try to burn it down. You want to hold on to Walnuts, because you might need that survivability feature as you're fighting that boss. So keep that in mind. Let's take out some champions here so we can build up some stacks. Yeah, we'll do that. Oh, well, I kind of wanted... Makos kind of needs to be in here. There. All right. So let's do Sergeant Knox's ultimate. Again, this is going to be a 2-second stun and then a 5-second stun. So let's see what happens here. Boom, knockback. He just decimated. So he knocked back on the first one, and they would have been stunned, but they all died. And then he jumped to the other line, and then would have stunned them for 5 seconds, but just killed them all. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see out of a man with a big battle axe. Freely's is just, he's going to jump forth. He's going to hit one enemy. Just one enemy. He's most likely going to kill it. Yeah, he killed it. But that's it. His is less impressive. He just jumps out and applies all of his lucky breaks if he hits them. And here we go with Walnut. She's going to just decimate this whole place. Here they come. Look at all the Forest Friends. Look at them go. Still killing things. There you go. So as long as you see them on the screen, whatever they hit, they're going to do damage to. And that works for armored enemies, taking off multiple chunks. It works for segmented health things, taking off multiple chunks. So that's really fantastic about Walnuts. But we killed everything, so we didn't get a shield. We just got the heals. Let's show off Walnut's wolf nut form, though. Let's show off the wolf nut. This is going to be wolf nut in a Kigurumi. There it goes. Kind of hard to see. Can I? No, I can't. All And once we clear this off, it's going to turn back. But you get to see for a moment there. For a moment there. It's easier to see when you have ranged enemies attacking you. But that is what it is. So that is Founders Day, Year 4. We're going to take a short break. I think I've covered everything. Yep. I believe I did. If not, we'll find out when I get back. We're going to go listen to... There isn't a song for Walnut. There is one for Freely, though. So we're going to listen to Hero in Time from Bardic Inspiration. And I'll be right back, folks.
At the door, don't know how I got in here, but now I'm laying on the floor. Another day, another fight, lights of evil left a smile. I stand up tall and pull my sword, time for them to feel my mind. The crowd. It's hero in town. This lucky boy shines when there's lives on the line. Always falling into trouble, really where I thought I'd be. Where you find lucky freely. Always falling from the sky, fire blasting from my eyes. Gonna get there on the double, I live life as a surprise. Don't wait, no need to plan, get ready, now let's go. It's hero in time. My power's divine, time to stop out the crime. It's here.
Well, that was fun. Yeah, apparently there's like right at the 208 mark of that clip. There's some kind of glitch on the Twitch servers with that file save because it just stops. But if I hop over it to like 210, it'll start back up again. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, folks. Twitch be twitching. Twitch be twitching. All right. We have a lot of questions already in the document. I'm going to dive through. Thank you, Jay, for pulling all of those. And thank all of you for asking. All right. Let me see if I can find ones that are related to the event first, and then we'll go back and we'll pick up all the stuff. Does Zaka farming help farm event tokens? No, the opposite, because if you're not killing an enemy, it's not dropping tokens. But they should all catch up eventually. But again, there's no way to farm more tokens. The only way to get more tokens is to use bounty contracts during an event. Yeah, event tokens drop at a fixed rate per time. One every 25 seconds. Any way to know how many tokens you've picked up on the current run? I don't think so. But again, it's one every 25 seconds. It doesn't... You can't go farm them, so it's not like... I don't know... I guess in my head, I don't understand why that would be something you would want to know. Yeah, I have no idea. In regards to Knox, it seems his health is far less than other tanks at a similar level. I haven't tested. Does his specs get 50% more health, get to the level of other tanks? Ooh, that's a good question. That is not something I have necessarily looked at. Let's look at... I think I'm still in the 50% health spec. Yeah, shield wall. So we're at 239 EO6. Walnut's at 137 EO6. So more than Walnut, but again, Walnut doesn't have a health item. So let's throw some other tanks in here. Let's throw in our friend Tyrell. Tyrell Tall Guy. Yes, that is his name. The Moose. Let's throw the Moose on Loose. This is going to raise everybody's because we have health share. So 964 EO6 versus Tyrell's 297 EO7. So there is a good chunk over on Tyrell. Keep in mind, though, this is my Tyrell. This is my Tyrell, who has a golden epic with 2,000 levels for health. So I feel like probably similar. I don't think it's like too much. So keep in mind what your current item levels are. I don't even have Knox's epic yet. I definitely don't have a lot of item levels on it. So I don't feel like it's horribly different. Let's throw in some Nova. Another champion that some people would relate to. Question: the math I did before, was it with Knox's rally feats? No. Yes, 40% rallying cry. But that's flat. That's a flat bonus. This should be a flat bonus regardless of which version you're in, because they're both affecting rallying cry. And it's a multiplier afterwards? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, yeah. 128 EO7 versus now 108 EO7. So I feel like fairly, in the health spec, fairly competitive. But again, you choose your spec based on what you're going to need. Do you need the health? Do you need the damages? Go with it. But yeah, probably an item level issue. Seems competitive in the health spec. I do free plays to E12-ish, then click damage can carry to about 125. Would you suggest pots for bud clicking on variants or just push favor? Oh, I would just push favor. I mean, if you can easily get to E12, you should be able to do all the variants most of the time. But if you can get there easily this quickly, I mean, we're only like 4 days into the event. Three days, technically. This is the 4th day of the event, but it's like 3 days. If you can get E12 already, you might as well try and see if you can push for some more. But you could. I mean, potions are there to be used, so, Fire Breath might. If you can spike your bud and keep a high enough bud to get you through, that's a way to do it. I just think you just make sure everything's green. Try to get up. I think E12 should be solid, but it depends on how many champions you're missing. From a formation on those restricted variants. That was that one. What is the skill Luck of Yandal actually doing? Well, we went over that. I'm pretty sure. I think that was probably asked before. Before we talked about it. So it's doing 4 different things. It's doing 4 different things. It's applying stacks, generally speaking, to everything that freely hits and anyone that qualifies for the share of Luck of Yandala. But it's also applying a debuff for damage. It's applying an increased gold drop. It's letting other champions that hit them attack faster. And it's potentially stunning. Potentially stunning. All right. Is there a way to tell where the champions that cannot be moved will be without starting or looking it up? Man, I don't think I've put this in my guides, because the problem is now I don't know anymore, because I can't go back and do those adventures. So, and sometimes they'll put a marker on things when, like in this situation, where is it? Where they're marking these out. It would be nice if they put where the champion was going to be when they're requiring them. Like, they just need to put like a star where that champion's going to go. That'd be fantastic. That would be a quality of life feature, because otherwise you just have to try it and see, or you have to ask in Discord and have somebody show you. I think once upon a time I probably tried to mark it in a formation layout, but because I can't go back and do those again because I did them already, I don't know where they are. I'd put them in my guide. So yeah, ask in Discord. Somebody will be able to show you. Is there a plan for a better character shield? I'm assuming this is for freely. Yeah, this is a dev question. Is there an add-on that does that? There are no add-ons that I'm aware of for this game. Yeah, there's no API that would function for like a UI edition add-on type thing. I don't know if they're looking to improve Freely's UI. It's a quality of life upgrade, and I mean, right now he functions and he works. I mean, it would be nice to see stuff, but there's a lot of UI improvements that I think the community would love, but they just haven't had time to get to that. It's just not a priority. Because if everything functions and works, then, you know, making it more readily apparent is a nice bonus, but isn't always required. So I don't know. I've never done Valendra before. Is she supposed to just smack your party a bunch of times after you kill her? No. Not. If you're doing Soriel's Resolve, in this event when Valendra shows up, it doesn't function like a Soriel's Resolve, but she should just show up and then just start raining meteor swarms down on your party, AoE. In a Soriel's Resolve, you kill her and she resurrects. Like she has multiple lives basically, and you've got to kill through all of them, and she gets more damage and health the more times you kill her. So yeah, she kills. She's bad. How to trigger everyone got lucky. My progress is always 0. Again, this is about building a full party with Freely based off his specialization. So right now, what did I pick? I picked Chaotic because I always expect chaos. Freely's neutral, but he doesn't count. So then we just need to make sure that we have everyone else in the party Chaotic. So let me just drop back. So this is how you would do this. We're gonna empty everything out but Freely, and we're gonna look through. This is neutral, so we don't want neutral. Do we have any basic stuff that's chaotic? Else, because this may be something that you have to wait and unlock more. Okay, so Clappy works. You may have to unlock more champions. Because you need to figure out, I mean, there are some lawful. You might want to go lawful. There's some that are neutral. Like Knox is neutral. Ashar is lawful. So you basically have to figure out who's going to work best for you in this situation. Again, Freely's not going to count. There, Delana's chaotic. So I could throw Delana in. So there's 2. Who else do I have? I mean, I can hop into some of these others. There are Morgane's chaotic. I will throw her in. Basically, this is what you have to do. You just have to find a bunch of people that are chaotic and add them to your party. You have to get the full party into chaotic. Here's one of those. We were talking about true neutral earlier. Jamila is neutral. So they do exist, folks. They do exist. Strix is chaotic. Zorbu is chaotic. So this is what you do but you have to flesh out your whole party like that. Have to flesh out your whole party, and they all have to match on that chaotic axis, or lawful, or neutral, whichever one you're doing. This left side has to match. Until it does, you won't get any credit. You've got to do the whole one, and it's better to do it in Sword Coast because you only have to then field 8. But they either you have to pick. You have to look through. Who do I have? Do I have 8 people plus freely that I can put into a formation of either lawful, neutral, or chaotic? I mean, I could keep going here. I don't know that I need to necessarily fill this whole thing out. Who else do we have? Who else is chaotic? Oh, she's lawful. Benwin's got to be... No, he's lawful? Spirit's lawful? Wow. Wow. Omen? Nope. Wow. This is the lawful slot. It's totally lawful. Deacon's another neutral. There you go. What else do we got? Esmeralda. There we go. I'm like, there's somebody in slot 1 that's chaotic. Let me find one more. Who else do I not have? Shandy? Yes, Shandy. So this would be full chaotic. This would qualify for that, if I completed levels like with the formation like this, it would qualify. You got to get 500 levels. You don't have to do that all in one run. You can go to 50 10 times, or you can go to 10 50 times, whatever you're capable of pulling off. Does blessing count toward rallying stat count? Trombe, I'm not sure what you mean. Like, are you talking about do blessings? It's a good question. I mean, we can go look. It's supposed to be positional formation abilities. So I'm going to say no, because those aren't blessings. But, since I haven't looked to see, let's go find out right now. It shouldn't. And now we have how many? 3. Wow. So he's got 3 at the moment. Now, if there were certain positional things involved, there's certain things about placing. Yeah, see, so there's 2. But that's because I don't have adjacent. But that shouldn't be. So maybe. Maybe. Hold on. Does he get it back here? This is how you figure this stuff out. No, that's 2. So is there... Just to put him right there and he gets it. No. So there is a positional formation ability. Oh, I know. I forgot to put in a ticket for this. I think one of the blessings is broken in Torm. It is this one. Lead from behind. I don't think it's working. So I think what we're getting is we're getting the positional blessing of lead the charge up here, which is the front 2 columns. And that's actually triggering as positional for this. So yeah, it looks like blessings do apply. We just have a broken one in Torm right now. There aren't a whole lot of those out there. So you may get a free one in some campaigns, but there aren't a whole... It's not like you're going to stack a bunch of them that way. Does Archon's Usurp work with Sergeant Knox? It should. Here's how you find out. Well, I got to take freely out. Hold on. Here's how we find out. I've not updated Archon's Usurp table, so with Sergeant Knox, I got to go do that with a bunch of people. So, and then we just come over here and we open up formation buffs, and we go down here. We're looking for rallying cry. There it is, usurped. So yeah, that's solid. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is... Oh, jeez, he's dead. I've got his Hand of Vecna feed in. I knew exactly why he died. There. poor Archon. Yeah, so because Knox is all about positional formation abilities, that means there is going to be a synergy to a certain degree, just in that it's useful with Archon and Artemis, because they're also all about positional formation abilities. And yes, I haven't done my own chess code today. I thought this one was fun. Opportunity Knox. I mean, I had to, right? Had to. All right. Let's see what else we have about these champions. Does Freely's faster attacking affect Azaka's Tigers? I'm gonna say no, because it specifically says, if we go look at Freely, it specifically says champions. So any champion who attacks the target. So Azaka isn't what causes gold to drop. It's her Tigers. And that's part of her ultimate. So it shouldn't. Shouldn't. Do multiple attacks like Ashara apply multiple stacks of Freely to consider it for his specialization? I usually include that because it does just say... each champion that attacks with the Luck of Yandal applies a lucky break to enemies they hit. So multi-attacks and AoEs should count. Like an AoE would hit, would apply it to a large group. We know that works because that's usually why you put in like a Briv with his cleave or Penelope when applying lots of stacks for if you're doing like click debuff with Freely. So multi-hit should apply not only to multiple champions that get hit, but if all 5 hit the same enemies, if all 5 hit the same enemy, they should all apply a stack of Lucky Break. Now, they might apply different Lucky Breaks, but they should all apply. So I count that, and I also try to factor in how fast of an attacker they are. So if they're like a 7-second base attacker, that's not real great. That's not real great. But if they're like a 3-second base attacker, that's fantastic. They're going to be bouncing out and getting me lots of stacks, right? So keep that in mind. Why does the 40% lucky break feat have a gold icon and the 80% has a feat icon? This is lucky break requisition specifically, whereas this is lucky break requisition too. I don't know. That's a C&E question. This should be a gold icon. I thought this one was unlucky for them, but no, it is requisition. Because unlucky for them has the ability, but yeah, this should be a gold icon too. Technically, because this increases your gold find. Submit a ticket. Submit a ticket. Would you suggest going for the 50k feat for free, even if you don't have purple gear for everyone from gold chests yet? No, I don't usually recommend 50k feats. Period, if you're not full epic. But you do whatever you want. That just wouldn't be on my recommendation. I don't think Walnuts is correct. I had Walnut in a formation with 3 non-affiliation characters, and it was showing 9 stacks of the buff on Walnut's outgoing. Then that would be a bug. That would be a bug, because that's literally, if there is no affiliation, it's not supposed to count. So, submit a ticket. Submit a ticket. That's kind of the same thing. No, that's not this one. Oh boy, lots of questions. I'll get to these other questions that aren't about these champions or this event in a moment. Just unlocked Freely and Knox this event. Missing 1 epic on Freely and 2 epics on Knox. The one on Freely is the lucky break item. Oh, the God Trap, I'm guessing. Because unlucky for them is a lucky break, but well, no, that's the buffer. So we're talking the God Traps. We're talking gold on Freely and health and ult damage on Knox. Would you focus on finishing Freely or Knox? Ooh. Probably Freely. Because really it's kind of a 50-50 chance. What you really want on Knox is that health. You really want that health epic, but it's a 50-50 chance you're going to get it, whereas you're guaranteed to get Freely's gold one. So I'd probably lean towards Freely. Where does it say it has to be the whole party for Freely to count? It says it in the achievement itself. Okay, so we're under here. We go down. Everyone got lucky. Complete 500 areas with everyone in a full formation, empowered by luck of Yondala. That's where it says. It says it right there in the text. Everyone get lucky. It's about everyone. So the best way to do it, like I said, is because you have to have a full formation. You can't just put Freely in and hey, everyone in the formation has it. No, you've got to do a full formation. So it's easier to do it in Mad Wizard because there's fewer people. But that's where it is. You suggested trying a chest opening sequence for new characters and events. Is that documented anywhere? Yeah, I just did it yesterday live. I haven't written it down anywhere. Thought I read it down this time. I think it's Electrum, then character chests, gold and silver. So it's Electrums. When you first get new characters, like I save all my Electrums for events. So when I've unlocked the new character or new characters, the first thing to pop is all the Electrums, because that's going to gear up. That's going to offer you white, green, and blue gear. And I was sitting on over 80 of them. That put Knox all the way up to full blues. So, super useful at that point just from Electrums. Then you open the silvers. At that point it doesn't truly matter, but I would say I would still put silvers, because what you're trying to do is then fill in any gaps. But if for some reason it didn't get you to all blues and you still had some blues available or some greens potentially as the highest, you want to try to fill those in with silvers, and you save the golds for last. So that's how I decked out Sergeant Knox. He's got everything but 2 epics. So 4 epics, 4 purple, 2 blue, and I'm like halfway through the pity timer for him. So I should potentially be able to get 1 more of these this event. Maybe. If I'm lucky on the gold chest drops. I don't know. On the RNG for getting a gold chest. We'll see. Should I use all bounty contracts to get the max event tokens to grind for event gear? Tempestasis, that's what I do personally. Personally, I burn all of my event contracts every event. And then just get as much gear as I can for the champions in the event by doing that. That's not what everyone does. Some people like to just use some and try to save them for what they think are like the OP champions to get more gear on them. But I just try to gear everyone. I personally try to gear everyone as equally as possible. Okay, going back to the top of the list, all the generic questions. No, that doesn't work as well. How much favor should I have before trying to unlock Dragon Bait? E20 is doable. E22, better. E22 should get you to soft cap by the time you get to Valendra, with a little bit of farming. E20 will get you close enough. I've done it at E20. I've done it at E18. But it's harder, and you have to have more of the optimal champions to do it with less favor. So if you don't think you have the optimal champions, then just aim for E22 before attempting Asoriel's Resolve. I would love to know where Kill, Drink, Dig, not Jig, Dig comes from over my left shoulder. Left? Yeah, that way. It's actually my right shoulder, but it's a mirrored camera. That's Kill, Drink, Dig. That is one of the dwarven posters from Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning, the MMO. I actually have another one up there that says, it's got different art. It says, "Would you kill for an ale?" So they did some really cool art stuff back when they were promoting the release of that game. I even have a huge, enormous wall poster that's like Order versus Chaos. I wish I had the Dwarf versus the Green Skin, but they didn't have any of those by the time I got some of these. But the devs at well, what was then Mythic Entertainment hooked me up with lots of stuff back in the day. If you start today, which package would you buy? I started this game yesterday. You're in luck. There's a sale going on. There's a sale going on right now. So I would look at some of the sale stuff first. In general, the best value is the Founders Pack. So I think the one with Jarlaxle in it that it's like got a skin for him, but it's also got a familiar and a bunch of other stuff. That's generally speaking the best bang for your buck. But then anything that's on sale, check out the stuff that's on sale. And if you find stuff, that's great. There's different people like to do different things. Sorry, we're wrapping up a week where I did a 5.5 hour stream on Thursday and then 2 hours yesterday. And then we're doing this one today. So my voice is on the edge. I'm living on the edge. If there are champion packs that are on sale that are skin packs for event champions, when you buy them, you actually get the champion too. So that's something to look at as well. So under the pack screen. So like if you didn't have, if you wanted to pick up, if this was a sale champion, but there are some that are sale champions that are on sale. It'll show you that it unlocks the character and gets you a skin. Skins are just cosmetic. They're not going to help you out, but it could get you feats. It could get you chests, shinies. Like they could give you bonuses and gear and stuff. You want to look at things like that as an option for what's on sale. Like Avron's got one. It's not on sale, but $10 is really affordable. And Avron's one of the strongest characters in the game. And this is a great feat for him, probably the best feat for him. And you get gear. So things like that are what you want to look for, because having champion options are fantastic in terms of pushing. But then looking at familiars or quality of life. Some people, like I swear by familiars. If I was going to spend money first, I'd go on familiars just so that I can automate things, because familiars will click for you. Like if you put them on the field, they're what's killing things out here. They can also level up your champions. If you put them down here, they'll buy and level up champions, or they'll roam around on an ultimate bar and kill things for you. Roam around. There we go. Almirage. The Almirage didn't want to do it, but there we go. Like, see, now he's gonna smack my ultimates every now and then. So automation is nice because it lets you go AFK and still progress. Is there any way to keep your formation in a specific area when they're in the background? Trying to farm Zorbu up, but it's really annoying to have to keep that one active. It's under the settings. It's under settings. Where is it? Turn off something in the background. Right here. Always auto progress while offline. So you want to uncheck that. Uncheck that. And then you can set Zorbu in the background, because background is basically offline. Then you should be able to, it should work that way. That now when you set it, it should just stay. Other than a favor, how do I advance or break through my wall? So blessings are one, right? But this is kind of, blessings and favor I think of kind of as the same thing, because you earn favor and then you spend it on blessings, right? And eventually you're going to max out your blessings and you're still going to have a wall that you can't get through. And that's where things like perks come through. So patrons are going to have perks that are global perks that increase damage and give you bonuses. They're also going to have local perks, which are much larger, but this only works when you're doing their variants. But early on, at times you can push even further in a variant, as long as it isn't a super restrictive variant. You can push further because of the local perks you have. So that's one way, getting perks across all of the patrons, or just however many you have at the time. But then also doing split the party and grabbing that modest core. The modest core is fantastic for most pushing. It's going to be one of the best pushing cores you're going to get, unless you're using very specific champions like strength-based champions. The strong core is going to be better, but the modest core is going to help you quite a bit. If I go from no core, if I forget to have a core in at all, and then I go to this core, that's 100 more levels of pushing power from this being fully epiced out. So the sooner you get your core, the sooner you can start leveling it up. It's going to confer bonuses, and then when you can finally get it all fully purpled out, that's going to be your max pushing from a core. So getting all of those things together is going to help. You got to stack up as many different kind of pillars of progression as possible. Also, working towards full epics on your champions, getting more item levels. But that's a kind of a slower long-term grind. Yeah. I need one more slot for Split the Party 2. Would you recommend Baloth? Yes. Yes. You have Jarlaxle right already, but yeah, Baloth. Baloth's usually, if you can pick anything from slot 4, pick to get another swap for. Baloth's going to be the best in my opinion. He kind of gives the best of all of the things here. He's going to give gold. He's going to give pushing power, and that's pretty fantastic. The other choice, Sentry, is a speed champion and also a tank. You do need item levels on Sentry to really kick in her speed stuff, but those are kind of the two priorities, but I would prioritize Baloth over Sentry. How to most intuitively distinguish the role camp? So I'm going to interpret this as big B as how do I know what roles they are? And you come up, you open the champ UI. So you click on the thing, go to each of them. It's going to say right here, role support. So supports champions are buffers. 99% of the time, they're not going to be your damage dealers. They're going to be your buffers. Healing, that's going to call out healing. That's going to get a heal. Sometimes it calls out healing and it actually gives a shield like Calliope. You just kind of got to learn. You got to read what it says. Song of Protection, temporary HP. That's a shield. And then tanks, it's going to say tank, and then DPS, it will say DPS. So you want to focus, all of your buffs onto your DPS character, and you want to have your tank, generally speaking, in the front line. I've come to realize that this game is a D&D interface to an Excel spreadsheet. The more rows of buffs you can add from any source, the better. Yeah. Yep. Is it known if Sentry's resolution works against the double quest goals for the Knox variant? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So normally the quest goals would be, generally speaking, 25, and it would reduce by 30% down to 17. But instead, you'd be looking at, total of 50, and then it would reduce down to what, like 35? Yeah. That would work. As long as you have the power to push through, or she's helping you push through, then yeah. If I'm farming Zorbu kills on the non-active party, is it a certain amount of kills per minute like stage progressing? No, unfortunately, Tierno and everybody else who's trying to farm Zorbu in the background. That is the slowest, least effective way to farm Zorbu. The best way is to have him in your active party, because the background is doing a simulation, and it's going to give you some farm, but it's not necessarily going to give you accurate farm, just because of how the simulation works. So if you really want to farm Zorbu stacks quickly and just get him, I think really your goal is just to get EO5 stacks across each. So EO5 Drow, EO5 Beast, EO5 Undead. You'll notice I leave off humanoids because Drow counts as humanoids, so you just have to farm the Drow and you get it on the humanoids too. Farm those in your active party with like a speed potion for try to get 10x speed for like an hour. Probably do pretty good. You want to be somewhere where Zorbu's the only one that's killing. The enemies are streaming onto the screen and then he's shooting them and then they're all dying. There are certain levels and certain variants that are best to do this in. And I think I have those in my Zorbu guide if you want to look. But yeah, I mean, it is better doing it in the active party. Just hit that EO5. That's 100,000 kills. And then the rest you'll accumulate naturally. You'll accumulate more. But I feel like EO5 is a good place where he then becomes solid, and then it falls into diminishing returns after that. Why do you always play Mad Wizard free play? Because this is basically the speed farm location. So it's just the default where I go when I'm doing something generic. Also in Sword Coast. Sword Coast is where I go when I want to show stuff off because I can soft cap by, I don't know, before level 50, probably in the level 20 because of all the favor I have. I have E65 favor in Torm, so I soft cap real quick here so I can show stuff off even right after we enter. If the last champ would be a filler champion, which would you recommend to add an upgrade? Jamila or Archon? Ooh. So this is basically you have to use one, but you're not actually using them in their priority. Let me go look. What I want to do down here is combine upgrades, and I want to see if she has any all champs damage stuff. She doesn't. She doesn't have any over here. She is just straight DPS, but sometimes straight GPS champions will have an all champs damage bonus. So I don't feel like it would be Jamila. So I'm leaning towards Archon. Because Archon, he's just got damage and health, and he's not doing a whole lot here either. But he is giving health share, which you might need. But he also has a gold item, which is going to get you gold. So he's actually contributing health and gold, whereas Jamila's not contributing anything. So I would fill, if I were just throwing one of them into fill, I would fill with Archon. Do Fiends fall under one of Minsk's favorite enemy categories? Nope. Minsk's favorite enemy, it's pretty straightforward. Let's go throw them in. It's what you see here. Humanoids, beasts, undead, fae, monstrosities. These do not include any other enemy types. This is it. It's just those 5. Fiends are their own enemy type. So aberrations are their own enemy type. Dragons are their own enemy type. So this is literally just humanoids, beasts, undead, fae, and monstrosity. Humanoids could be elf or drow or, humanoids, right? But the rest of these, you're looking at these specific things. So fiends don't fall under any of this. Get back in there freely. What to consider when choosing Strix's perk for debuffing? What are we talking about when we say perk? Are we talking specialization? If we're talking specialization, and you're trying to debuff, it's under, usually you're using poor hygiene, but this is only if they're close. Haunted is a whole other thing. Like if you're going to do the death stacking under Haunted, you have to understand that this is what Haunting does. It increases damage of all champions. So you're probably talking the debuff. If you're just doing debuffing, you want poor hygiene. You want poor hygiene, which is smelly lunch. I think that's what you meant by perk, yeah. We got to use, I'm not trying to be pedantic or anything. It's just you got to use the right terminology in idle champions because there are so many different things. Like when we're talking about blessings and specializations and perks, all of those things exist in this game in some form, right? Like this is blessings. Patrons have perks. Champions have specializations. And then when we're talking about what powers up blessings, that's favor. But perks use influence, not favor. So you just so that we know what we're talking about, sometimes we got to use the right words. Is Zorba useless against enemies other than his lifelong enemies? No. How many stacks until he surpasses Ashara? He doesn't. I mean, it depends. That's going to depend on your gear of evil. Ashara with activating both sets of Ashara's bonds, so getting 3 in each bond, is going to, like if we're talking roughly equal levels, is going to be stronger than Zorbu. But it's always going to depend on gear when you're first starting out. Will the Chinese version of the game be updated in the future? Do you mean like localization? I know they're working on localization. I do not know all the different languages they're trying to localize in, though. That's a question for the developers on Developer Insight. I know they did reference Brazilian Portuguese recently, but I don't know that there's a list anywhere that they've shared publicly. Is there a point to leveling heroes past the soft level cap, which we see down here? You can get a bit of damage. You can get a bit of damage, like 1% per level. So it adds up, but it accrues. But you have to have lots of levels. You got to be able to put a lot of levels in to really see a difference. Outside that, you can get a bit of a heal. Every point that you put in, like if you swap to 1, every point that you put in is going to heal them a little bit. I usually think it's like putting it to 10, kind of full heals them every time. But like when it does that little activation with the swirls, with the light swirls, that's also healing. But that's it. It can come in a little handy on things like Valendra, but otherwise you're only over leveling your DPS. Do you level your click damage at the same time you level your heroes? I think I've made a mistake in never using it. So with click damage, we haven't had this question in a while. With click damage, you level it up based off the area you're on. So if mine says 333, which means I can click through. Yeah, I'm way over that. I could click kill. Like at 329, you'll notice everything's going to start dying instantly. So as long as my click damage level is higher than the area I'm on, I'm going to still instant kill stuff. Once I get to the area I'm on, things will start changing. Because this is an event, the health levels are a little different. So I can go a little past what click damage I'm on and still kill things. But it's gonna change. Like, see how it's much slower? It started killing much slower. It's taking multiple clicks to kill things now. So generally speaking, when you reach the point where the area you're on is the same as the click damage level, that's when you want to stop putting gold into click damage and then just focus on your champions. So it's there at the beginning based off how much favor you have to kind of get you real fast through the early part of the game. And early part is subjective based off the amount of favor you have. And then you switch into killing by actually having a formation. And I think that's going to be it. We didn't get all the questions today. But if I didn't answer your question, you can hit up the Discord. Someone in chat may have already answered it, and I didn't see it. Or you can hit up the Discord, or you can hit up the subreddit. But we're going to head out. We're going to listen to The Legend of Sergeant Knox, the song that was created this past week on Bardic Inspiration. Thanks for hanging out. Again, if you have more questions, you can hit up my guide on the subreddit. You can post your question on Reddit, or you can post in the Discord. People are around to help. Yeah. Have a good weekend, everybody. If you're in the United States and you're celebrating for 4th of July, be safe. Yeah. Don't go lighting lots of things on fire. If you've had droughts in your area and high temperatures, maybe no fireworks this season. Just saying. We don't need huge raging fires to go along with all of these high temperatures. Thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. I will see you next week, Tuesday, for my stream. We don't have Champions of Psychology. It's on hiatus. So I will be streaming Idle Chatter on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. It's down there below. And then we'll go raid Bardic Inspiration. Bye, everyone.
Here we go. He was born with an axe in hand, standing ready to defend the land. Went from cradle to the wall to see the foes of Neverwinter fall. When Valendra unleashed a scourge, he was there to perform the purge. From the bridges, gates, cliffs, and docks comes the legend known as Sergeant Knox. mercenary, always retakes the city, unites us all with his only call. He's gonna knock you out, leave you seeing stars, gonna break your lies, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring the hurt, driving death out of town. When the blessed absolute come, his answer echoed off the marble halls. If you're looking for a helping hand, keep an eye out for this giant man. So let's do the healing with Mako's damage dealing, and in the front on Knox is holding the line. He's gonna knock you out, leave you seeing stars, gonna break your lies, leave you lasting scars. He's gonna knock you out, call the thunder down, gonna bring the hurt, driving death out of town. Solo over this.